Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Friday, the 21st of April 2023. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Story number 1, the S&P ASX 200 finished today up 0.4% to 7,330 points, meaning for the week, it was down around 30 points. The banks did poorly today, with Commonwealth Bank, National Australia Bank and Westpac all off more than 1%. The energy companies outperformed. It was a tough day for the iron ore miners. A build-up in port inventories hit investor sentiment, sending the price of ore down for a third straight day to near 4-month lows. A tonne of iron ore is fetching around $120. At its peak 2 years ago, it was nearly twice that level. On the other hand, gold miners did well, with the price of the precious metal staying above $2,000 an ounce, and Barbara, Silver Lake Resources and Northern Star all outperformed. Story number 2, the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission is calling on banks and their customers for feedback on competition and consumer issues affecting retail deposit products. Collectively, Australians hold over $1.45 trillion in retail deposit accounts, and for many Australians, the interest earned on these accounts is an important source of income. That's according to ACCC Chairwoman Gina Cass-Gottlieb. While banks have generally lifted variable rate home loan interest rates in line with the Reserve Bank's cash rate fluctuations, increases to the savings interest rates have often been smaller or conditional, she said. The competition watchdog is reviewing how banks have adjusted their rates for deposit accounts, including the use of introductory and other conditional interest rate offers. Story number 3, highly anticipated legal advice from the Commonwealth Solicitor General says the voice to Parliament will not impede executive government or radically change how decisions are made in Canberra. Attorney General Mark Dreyfus released the opinion in a submission to a parliamentary committee today, making public for the first time the views of Solicitor General Stephen Donohue KC. But the coalition seized on news that the opinion is not the same document considered by Cabinet, which is actually kept secret under law, according to Financial Review. The opinion released was written on April 19 after opposition leader Peter Dutton demanded legal advice from Dr. Donohue be made public. Mr. Dutton has repeatedly claimed Dr. Donohue advised against some wording in the constitutional amendment supported by the government and the Voice Expert Working Group. But the opinion says the draft changes are not only compatible with Australia's system of representative government, but also represents an enhancement. Story number 4, BHP has cut production targets for its Australian nickel and Chilean copper mines as output at its local iron ore and coking coal divisions head toward the lower end of target ranges. That, along with lower iron ore prices that I was talking about, was enough to send the big Australian share price down more than 2% today. Iron ore is BHP's biggest revenue generator, but the 66.5 million tonnes shipped through Port Hedland in the 3 months to March was the division's weakest output in 2 years. The modest result puts BHP on track for a rare decline in annual iron ore exports in the year to June. BHP's Port Hedland export infrastructure has been hit by works to expand the port's capacity, as well as a voluntary halt to operations in February to mark the death of a port worker. Port Hedland has been unable to handle the record volumes coming out of BHP's mines in the Pilbara region of Western Australia. And finally, story number 5. It's a great story. SpaceX's Starship rocket exploded this morning, minutes after lifting off from a launch pad in South Texas. The rocket, the most powerful ever built, did not reach orbit, but Elon Musk's SpaceX said it provided important lessons for the future, no doubt. The engines on the Super Heavy booster ignited in a huge cloud of fire, smoke and dust, and Starship rose slowly upward. About a minute later, the rocket passed through a period of maximum aerodynamic pressure, one of the crucial moments for the launch of any rocket, and shortly after that, it began to tumble before exploding in a fireball high above the Gulf of Mexico. NASA is relying on SpaceX to build a version of Starship that will carry 2 astronauts from lunar orbit to the surface of the moon during its Artemis 3 mission. There was great anticipation for today's flight, which had been delayed from Monday, before the launch, which had no people aboard and aimed to validate whether the design of the rocket system is sound. Mr. Musk, the company's founder, said it might take several tries before Starship succeeds at this test flight. He wasn't wrong. That's it for the afternoon report for Friday, the 21st of April, 2023. Don't forget to hit follow on the podcast and find Fear and Greed on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Join Michael Thompson and I tomorrow morning for the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed, the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.